Ghost Recon Breakpoint. There's a lot to say about the latest installation of Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon franchise. Complete with Ubisoft at the helm of yet another one of these games, they've given me a lot more to talk about with this sequel to 2017's Wildlands, which itself has the community around the Ghost Recon franchise divided even to this day. And the same can be said about Breakpoint just a couple of months into the game's lifespan. The GR community is extremely divided on if the game is great or a flaming trash can that would make Oscar the Grouch bust a fat one. That's why I'm here. I'm here to lay down the what's what about this title. I'm going to tell you how it is, how I see it, how I think it should be fixed going forward. So without any kind of further delays, let's get into the good, the bad, and the buggy about Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So, to start things off, the good. The majority of the combat mechanics, minus a few tweaks here and there, are pretty much copy and pasted from Wildlands, which is fine by me, to be honest. I'm one of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality when it comes to the tedious mechanics of third-person tactical shooters. Yeah, you do go into first person when you aim down sights, but that's cowardly and you should be ashamed. Also, I really like the skill tree system and the way it seems to set up all the unique classes, and it doesn't force you into just the one role though. All the classes pull from the same advanced tree, but they still keep their little specialty skills, and I dig that, honestly. And contrary to what I've been seeing the community talk about a lot, I like the gear score mechanics. As a veteran of games like Destiny, Borderlands, and even The Division, also by Ubisoft, I find looter shooters to be quite enjoyable. And it's not like good weapons are hard to find, because throughout my playthrough, aside from a couple of minor outliers, I didn't really find any per se bad weapons. Like, yeah, you of course want the ones with a higher gear score, but once you get the blueprint for a gun, you can just make one that'll craft around your gear score, which is pretty cool to me. Honestly, the guns you use seem to come down to personal preference more than anything else. Personally, I enjoyed running an assault rifle with a sniper in my back pocket. Now, onto the actual gunfighting, it's pretty straightforward as to what I expected from this game. The game highly rewards you for reconning the area and picking off high priority targets like snipers and those little whistleblowers we like to call snitches, as well as the heavy gunner fellas. You by all means can run straight in and blast everything in your path. I just hope you brought the pack mule perk, because you're going to need all the ammo you can get, as well as plenty of syringes for when you inevitably get run down by the whole enemy base. If you do decide to do that, I would at least advise you to use the nifty little sync shot drone to take out the more problematic targets before you put on your Rambo cosplay and run straight in. Speaking of cosplays, that leads me to my next point, the character customizing. This part is going to be in the good and the bad section of the review, so bear with me here, yeah? So, I love the ability to make your character look however you want regardless of the equipped gear with the override option. And they give you 5 slots, which is pretty cool. Pretty generous of them. Foreshadowing. Anytime you find a new piece of gear, you unlock its appearance, and you can use that to make your own custom gear sets. Personally, I had a suit for each different environment we would be fighting in. I was definitely a little extra about it, but leave my immersion alone, damn it. And to quickly touch on another point that's going to be in multiple sections here, when it wants to be, the game's atmosphere is extremely beautiful. It's just stunning. It really captured the different biomes in the map design, like just perfectly in some places. So props to you, Ubisoft. You did your best there. But now, it's time to move on to the bad. There's a lot more I love about this game, and I could talk about it all day, but we're just touching on the big things here. This is one of those before you spend the moolah kind of things, you feel me? So the bad. The first thing is, and this is a really big thing for me, with such a huge studio working on this game, the voice acting in this game is just absolutely awful. The main cast sounds half-assed throughout the whole game, even with big talents like John Bernthal. Well, he's Berthal now, being part of the cast. Him specifically, he just either sounds really bored or really over-dramatic throughout all of his scenes, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of in-between with him. And don't even get me started on the side characters / background characters. Most of them sound like they got random apprentices from the office and the dev team to speak into an iPhone microphone and called it a day. A company like Ubisoft has no excuse for this, and they need to do better, honestly. My next point is facial animations. They just look nasty, and they're really, really freaking lazy, in my opinion. Half the time, the voices don't even sync to the lip movements, and when they are, it just looks so unnatural. Honestly, the face models as a whole just look bad. And I get this is a massive open world game, so people are probably gonna give small things like bad facial animations a pass, but not me. Because again, I know Ubisoft can do better. And the icing on the cake as far as Ubisoft and their shitty practices go, microtransactions. They added paid cosmetics, vehicles, and even weapon stat upgrades. They took basic ass clothing items like the shirt Nomad wears in the flashback scenes, and they hid them behind a paywall. Personally, I really liked the officer suit Nomad wore during those, and I really wanted to get it. And then I go and check the paid store, and you have to spend $5 to get the damn shirt. And it's not like it's things that you can obtain naturally just through a lot of grinding. There's no way to obtain some of these paid items. Can't grind for them, you can't find them out in the open world through exploring. They're completely hidden behind a paywall. And to be completely honest, that really makes me angry. But I'm not going to get into the whole rant about microtransactions here. I'm just pointing it out for you to make your own decisions about. Another thing that I really dislike is killing the bosses of this game. Super fucking disappointing. None of the boss fights are remotely difficult. In fact, I put down more than one of the bosses with a singular, albeit well-placed headshot. Now, I would have liked multiple boss sequences during the fights, or at least give them higher health pools, but I understand they were trying to go for realism on shooting someone in the head, so you can't really fault that too much. Just a little personal pet peeve. So those are my main grievances against the game, as far as what's blatantly bad. Now let's move on. Let's move on to the weird part, right? The Buggy. This game's a bugged out mess. I'm gonna just leave it on that. I honestly just want to call it a beehive. Like, there are far too many bugs to put on this list, so I'm just gonna point out some of the major ones here, right? First one is the fact that the world really struggles to render. Maybe this is just a PS4 problem? I've asked all of my friends who play it on console, and they all kind of have the same problem about it not rendering. Sometimes it takes 20 to 30 seconds just for a ground texture to load under your feet. And like, again, I get it, you know. This is a huge game, and it's gonna have problems like that, but there are ways to do that better, and Ubisoft just kind of cheaped out on that. Like, on top of all that, the AI is a little dumb at times. Like, sometimes they just like see you X-ray through a wall, and then other times you can be right in front of their eyes and they won't see you at all. And that one is more of a gripe, really, though. Next up, though, the menu's a disaster. It's super laggy. Like, if you try and scroll through the tabs as soon as you open it, it's gonna spaz out and jump all over the place. And good luck trying to change your appearance in a helicopter, because you'll be lucky if it loads your character model. And a huge bug that really needs to be fixed is the audio sync. I touched on it already, but it goes deeper than what I brought up. Like, sometimes during cutscenes, the audio just completely cuts out for a couple of seconds, and the cutscene keeps going, so the voices end up behind where the face models are, and they end up overlapping each other. It made playing through the story really agitating while trying to listen to the cutscenes and understand what's going on. Honestly, the subtitles ended up being my saving grace as far as keeping up with the story most of the time, because the subtitles stay caught up. My final point, my biggest point of all, the damn coughing in Arrow 1. I don't understand why it's there. No matter where you go inside of the mountain, it's there. When you open a menu, it sounds like they're just coughing in your ear, like they're just sending Ebola into your earlobe. I don't know which member of sound design screwed the pooch on that, but please, I'm begging you, fix the damn coughing. So, this review might have you a little thorn. Should you buy the game? Is the game good? Well, yes, but actually no. The state of the game right now is far from perfect. It's very buggy and can be very frustrating at times. But behind all of the mess that it has swirling around it right now, it's a very enjoyable game and one that I love playing through with a friend of mine. Now that leads me to this. Big warning. This game's highly optimized for co-op. Grab a friend if you want to play through this game if you want to get the most out of it. Much like its predecessor, I think this game's only going to get better with time. As Ubisoft rolls out new content, new raids, new gear, it brings around better quality of life changes. And I think it'll steer in a far better direction. Until then, if you can deal with the problems, by all means, buy the game, have a blast. But I also wouldn't disagree with you if you wanted to wait for them to fix it before you wanted to pick it up. Well, that was the good, the bad, and the buggy Ghost Recon Breakpoint. To be honest, I'm bad at outros, so see you next time, you filthy animals.